The world is not divided by talent, intelligence, or morality. It is divided by awareness. From a very young age, you sense that something is off. You walk into certain rooms and feel invisible, as if your presence barely registers. Meanwhile, others enter without effort, and the entire atmosphere shifts. They don't speak loudly. They don't explain themselves, yet attention moves toward them automatically. Opportunities seem to orbit their existence. Respect is handed to them before they earn it. Power listens to them without resistance. You respond the only way you were taught. You work harder. You become more polite. You sharpen your skills. You stay honest. You wait your turn. And still, nothing changes. This creates a silent frustration that most people never articulate. If effort matters, why is it ignored? If goodness is valuable, why does it go unrewarded? The mistake is assuming the world operates on fairness. It does not. It operates on leverage. Power is not emotional. It does not care about your intentions, your struggles, or your moral superiority. Power responds only to usefulness, protection, advantage, and reinforcement. This is not cruelty. It is mechanics. Powerful people do not wake up looking for new friends. They already have social circles, admiration, and access. What they lack is insulation from risk, from rivals, from uncertainty, and from reality. That is what they seek in others. Most people fail because they approach power from a position of need. They want approval. They want validation. They want to be chosen. This energy is detected instantly. It signals weakness, dependency, and liability. And power avoids liabilities. Being yourself is celebrated in theory, but in practice it is a privilege reserved for those who already have leverage. For those climbing upward, connection is not self-expression. It is strategic alignment. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this long before modern networking existed. When he wrote The Prince, he was not creating villains. He was documenting human nature without decoration. He saw that beneath manners and ideology, people are driven by self-interest, fear of loss, and the need to protect their identity. Ignore these forces and you become a pawn. Understand them and you begin to see the board. This is where the illusion breaks. Powerful people are not superior beings. They are players who learn the rules early. They are as insecure, as fearful, and as ego-driven as everyone else, often more so. The difference is that they learned how to hide it behind structure, authority, and symbolism. Once you see this, the spell is broken. You stop shrinking in their presence. You stop idolizing them. You begin observing instead of reacting. Power is not earned by asking for permission. It is accumulated by becoming necessary. It is not about dominating others, but about positioning yourself where removal would cause disruption. The moment you stop seeking validation, you start gaining traction. The moment you stop trying to be liked, you start being taken seriously. This is uncomfortable because it forces you to abandon comforting myths. The world is not a meritocracy. It is a system of incentives, and systems reward those who understand how they function. Awareness is the first step. Once you accept this reality, you are no longer a piece waiting to be moved. You are learning how to move. The fastest way to lose leverage with powerful people is to try to impress them. The moment you step into the presence of influence, your ego often betrays you. You speak too much. You explain too deeply. You showcase your intelligence, your competence, your achievements. You believe this performance earns respect. In reality, it triggers something far more dangerous: insecurity. Power is not confident in the way movies portray it. At the top, identity is fragile because status must constantly be defended. When you make someone above you feel even slightly overshadowed, you activate their survival instincts. They may smile, they may praise you publicly, but internally you have been marked as a threat, and threats are removed quietly. This is why restraint is power. The intelligent operator never outshines the master. They allow the other person to feel central, intelligent, and admired. Ideas are framed as extensions of their thinking. Insights are offered as questions. Credit flows upward. This is not submission. It is positioning. The goal is safety before influence. When you are perceived as non-threatening, you are allowed closer, and proximity is where real power transfer occurs. While others compete for attention, you observe patterns, habits, and weaknesses. You learn how decisions are made, not how they are announced. You gain access to the invisible rules that outsiders never see. Equally damaging is transparency. Predictability is comforting in friendships, but deadly in power dynamics. If your desires are obvious, you become easy to manage. Want money? You will be stalled. Want approval? You will be given compliments instead of opportunity. Want access? You will be kept waiting. Desperation is loud even when unspoken. It leaks through tone, posture, and timing, and power is repelled by it. Mystery reverses the dynamic. When your intentions are unclear, curiosity replaces control. Speak broadly. Engage personally. Discuss ideas, culture, experiences, observations. Avoid exposing your endgame. Let others wonder why you are present. This uncertainty creates mental gravity. People begin projecting their own narratives onto you. They fill the silence with assumptions that often work in your favor. Another common mistake is appealing to mercy. People are taught that honesty and vulnerability open doors. At higher levels, they close them. Powerful individuals are constantly surrounded by stories of struggle. If they responded emotionally to all of them, they would collapse under the weight. Mercy is inefficient. Self-interest is scalable. This does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming relevant. Instead of asking for help, identify intersections. Where do their problems meet your capabilities? Where does their risk align with your value? Speak in terms of outcomes, not needs. Time saved, errors reduced, influence expanded. When you frame interaction as a transaction disguised as alliance, you are no longer a petitioner. You are a solution. Availability is another silent killer of value. Constant accessibility signals disposability. If you answer immediately, agree instantly, and show up endlessly, you communicate that your time has no structure. Scarcity creates respect because it implies demand elsewhere. Be present when engaged, be focused, then withdraw. Let absence do what explanation cannot. Your absence creates an open loop in their mind. It makes them notice. Power respects what does not chase it. It moves toward what appears self-directed, contained, and selective. When you stop trying to be seen, you begin to be noticed. Trust is rarely built through words alone. It is built through perception and alignment. One of the most powerful tools in connecting with influential people is mirroring. This is not mimicry for the sake of flattery. It is a subtle, almost imperceptible alignment with the other person's behavior, speech patterns, and energy. If they speak quickly and with intensity, you match their tempo. If they are slow, measured, and deliberate, you mirror that. Your posture, gestures, vocabulary, and even breathing patterns can create a sense of familiarity and comfort. When done effectively, it bypasses their conscious logic and resonates with the subconscious mind. They feel understood and safe, even before they are aware of why. Mirroring goes hand in hand with delivering value through information. In the modern world, knowledge is currency, and in the realm of influence, it is priceless. But not all knowledge is equal. The information that elevates you is filtered, timely, and actionable. Powerful individuals are often isolated, surrounded by yes-men, and shielded from reality. If you can supply insights that are otherwise unavailable, market shifts, competitor intelligence, or nuanced trends, you become indispensable. You are no longer just another contact. You are the conduit through which critical understanding flows. Your position as the gatekeeper of information ensures you are remembered, relied upon, and respected. Shared enemies also create bonds faster than shared praise. Sociologists call this in-group and out-group bias. Humans instinctively unite against a common opponent or threat. When you identify the frustrations, inefficiencies, or rivals that a powerful individual despises, you validate their struggle and reinforce their worldview. But this alignment must be strategic and righteous, not petty or purely negative. When done correctly, it creates loyalty rooted in shared purpose and perceived battle. Equally important is recognizing and reinforcing the fantasies that drive influential people. Everyone lives in the tension between reality and the idealized version of themselves. The CEO may see himself as a visionary savior, the artist as a disciplined revolutionary, and the political figure as a heroic reformer. Your role is to identify these self-images and subtly play a supporting role. If they want to be the wise mentor, you become the attentive and eager student. If they see themselves as a revolutionary, you position yourself as the loyal accomplice. By confirming their vision of themselves, you become indispensable to their narrative and, by extension, their confidence. Finally, emotional control is a silent superpower. High-status individuals carry enormous pressure, constantly managing teams, resources, and expectations. They are often in a state of heightened stress. Most people amplify this stress with complaints, drama, or urgency. To stand out, you must absorb and transform this chaos into calm clarity. calmness becomes magnetic. Simple assurances like "it's handled" carry more weight than any argument or rational explanation. You become the emotional anchorer, rare stability in an otherwise turbulent environment. Once you master this, your presence is sought not merely for what you know or can do, but for the composure and assurance you bring to the room. Adaptability is the cornerstone of influence. Rigid behavior and fixed identities are liabilities in environments dominated by power. To navigate such spaces successfully, you must learn to assume formlessness, shifting your approach to match the demands of the moment. Sometimes you need to be assertive, other times quiet and observant. You may lead in one situation and follow in another. The person who insists on a single persona risks conflict, rejection, and invisibility. Formlessness is not about losing yourself. It is about protecting yourself while fitting seamlessly into the flow of others' realities. By blending with the environment, you remove friction, making it easier for those in power to integrate you into their world. The next step is creating dependence. Influence is rarely given. It is earned through necessity. If those above you can function perfectly well without your presence, you hold no leverage. Identify tasks or functions that are essential to their success, but undesirable for them to perform themselves. Master these areas, and you embed yourself into their operations. Become the bridge between them and the outcomes they cannot risk losing. Guard your expertise, keep your methods subtle, and ensure that your absence would create measurable disruption. Dependence is not servitude, it is security through irreplaceability. Control is another vital principle. The person who frames choices, designs options, and shapes the conversation wields invisible power. Decision fatigue is real. Humans prefer guided outcomes over endless possibilities. By curating paths and presenting solutions that subtly steer decisions toward your desired outcome, you allow others to feel in control while you orchestrate the results. Framing is the art of influence. You do not coerce, you design the environment so the logical choice aligns with your strategic objective. This creates the illusion of authority for them while reinforcing your position as the architect behind the scene. Finally, all of these tactics converge with radical autonomy. You cannot be truly influential if your worth is contingent on approval. Dependence on validation is detectable and repulsive to power. You must cultivate your own mission, your own achievements, and your own kingdom, however modest. Be willing to walk away from negotiations, relationships, or deals without fear. This willingness transforms your presence. Posture steadier, voice calmer, gaze firmer. You become a figure of solidity, someone who respects others but does not need their affirmation. In a world of fluidity, such constancy is magnetic. Power is lonely because it is surrounded by pliability. Those who bend too easily are easily forgotten. When a grounded, autonomous individual appears, attention is drawn naturally. The world was not built on innocence or pure morality. It was built on awareness, leverage, and understanding human nature. Mastering these laws does not make you manipulative. It makes you awake. You can remain a pawn, drifting from one opportunity to the next, or you can choose to step into the role of strategist, observer, and indispensable player. In doing so, you take your place not as a spectator, but as a participant who shapes the board itself.